I have hit record.
And I'll be doing the same. Great.
Great, so thanks for joining. We probably will not need the full 90 minutes, but we have it if you have questions at the end of our demonstration. So what we're going to do is show you some things about how to work with Canvas. And Heather has mocked up a template for all the PC courses that includes, I want to say, about 12 different page layouts that we can use depending on what your style or interests are. And we'll show you a couple of those. We're going to show you the basics of how to set up your Canvas site and what to do in Canvas. And I also want to show you a tool that everybody in pre-college will have access to, which is the pre-college lobby, just so you know where it is and what it is and how the students might be using it. And then we're also going to walk you through a mock-up of a course. We have two courses this term that were fully developed by content developers, online drawing and online painting. And so one of them is actually fully developed today, and we're going to demonstrate that as well, so you can see what a full class mock-up might look like. So, and of course, we're recording this, so the folks that are unable to attend today, as there were several, will be able to watch this and learn from this. And of course, for those that are watching this recording, if you do need assistance, please feel free to reach out to me, Araminta Matthews. It's AMATTHEWS @mecca.edu. So I'm going to start by showing you the lobby, because that is a very brief tour of a resource that all pre-college students have. This is a Google site, and the version that students have doesn't have all this stuff on the right here. I'm showing you the back end of this site. And all of our students are given access to this pre-college lobby as an effort to orient them to the online learning space. And I am not sharing my screen yet, am I? I'm looking at it and I'm like, everybody can see this. Nope, screen share is not on.
It was a great intro, though.
Isn't it just great? All right, now let's try that one more time. So this is the back end of the pre-college student lobby. So all of this stuff on the right here is not visible to the students when they visit. But this lobby is intended to orient all our pre-college students to their e-learning experience. And all of these are interactive. And so, as you know, our students will be doing an online art show, both in person and online. Students will all come together in an online art show. This allows them to, they can click right on this, it's clickable, to submit their art. And we are asking that they submit a piece once a week so that we can have that art show up ready to go for the final day at the end of the session. So that might be something you want to build into your actual course so that students are prepared to submit a final piece or a piece for that final show at least once a week so that we can get it all online for you. In the lobby, there are several menu buttons, and they're accessible here through the lobby menu. I'll make sure you all have a copy of this link as well. They're also accessible through the next and previous buttons at the bottom of the screen. And just to give you some orienting to what the students will be experiencing, this is the page that connects them to their classroom. They'll click this to go to Canvas. And if they have a Zoom class, they can click this to connect to your recurring Zoom classroom link, or they can also get it right in your Canvas site directly. This is just to make sure everybody has kind of the same experience onboarding. It's got some support tools for Google and Canvas and Zoom. There are also some kind of fun areas. There's a social media page, which is capturing in real time every time someone uses the hashtag Mecca pre-college. So this will update constantly as anyone posts to that hashtag, and we're expecting our students will post quite a bit. And there's a play area, just so that you're aware. These are tools that students can use to play different art games. They can teach an AI how to recognize doodles. They can play Pictionary together. They can use these different tools to produce art, just kind of a Zen activity for themselves. And the last area that I want to show you on this resource is the virtual museum tour page. Because our online students don't have the opportunity to visit our local museums, I went and scouted all the 360 tours that I could find for every museum imaginable that is hosting any kind of immersive tour. So these are all virtual museum tours that if the students were to click into them, they're immediately brought into a 360 experience of an exhibit or the entire museum. It depends on the specific source. And I also added issues collection of Marvel Comics for you, Michael, and an animation gallery for our animation and game arts instructor as well. So that is the lobby. I'll stop sharing for a moment. As I said, all of our pre-college students will have access to that link. We'll make sure that you have the link, and that really just orients them to that online learning experience before they even get to Canvas, so that they can kind of wayfind and figure out what it's going to be online for pre-college this year. Any questions before I jump into Canvas?
I just want to point out that even though we're having students upload a piece every week, they can have 3 total pieces. So that means 1 from each major and 1 life drawing piece or an interdisciplinary class piece. So I could see wheels turning saying, oh, 1 for every week for my class, and that's not quite right. So just 3 total pieces for the final show for each student.
Thank you for clarifying that. That ends up being almost 300 works of art in a digital art show. So it's very important that it's just 3. But I also want to add, because Nick, you reminded me, thank you, so I don't see animation here. That submission form is good for images. If a student is submitting a video, they have to host it first on YouTube or Vimeo and then share the link on the form that I shared. So they cannot share an actual MPEG-4 or video file through that form. It would be too large for the form to handle. So they'll share a link. That's for the folks that are listening at home. If you have questions, connect with me and I'll help you. Okay, so are we ready to jump into Canvas? All right, so to log into Canvas, first things first, you will go to canvas.mecca.edu. And everyone who is teaching for Mecca and everyone enrolled in, not sharing my screen again. I am such a rookie and read these days. Let me try that again. Canvas.mecca.edu. Now you should see the login screen for Canvas. Everyone who is teaching and enrolled in pre-college will have a mecca.edu email account. So you log in with this orange button. If for some reason somebody didn't have that account, they would use the white button. So again, because you've all got mecca.edu emails, this is the button you use to log in. And you use the same username and password that you use for your Mecca Google, for your Mecca Gmail, your Mecca Google Calendar. Once you log in, you will then navigate. I'll actually start with the dashboard. Navigate to the dashboard. You'll see all of the courses that you are enrolled as an instructor in, and you can pick whichever course you want to work with. Now you'll notice that these are my published courses. That means my students can see them, and I can tell it's published because this word published is right here at the top. I also have a lot of unpublished courses. Those courses are not visible to my students. Your courses are not published yet. That gives you time to work on them before the students are enrolled. But I'm going to click on the course that I want to show you. And Heather, do you want to take us through the template?
Yes, definitely. Do you want me to take over screen sharing, or do you want me to narrate while you click the button?
Oh, goodness, you should take over screen sharing. Let me stop screen sharing and I will let you narrate. So Heather, if you could just show us how you set up the template. Every course is set up with the same template. And specifically, we want to look at a couple of the page designs and how to copy those page designs into our modules, and then assignment and discussion, and then we can go over grading. Awesome. Thanks, Heather.
No problem. Is everybody seeing the template? It says PC template shell 2021. I can't see everybody while I'm screen sharing, so I'm going to take that silence for a yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And Heather, I'm just
yes?
going to jump in. The PC Sandbox resource is the one that I put graded content into, so I can demonstrate that one when we're ready.
Okay. Okay, we'll head right over there next. So the first thing I wanted to show everybody is when the template is added to your course, you'll see that on this left-hand side, almost all of the tools are shut off, or it has a little slash through the eyeball. That's because we really wanted to simplify the buttons that students had access to really the most relevant buttons, because we only have 3 weeks with these students, and so it's going to be really essential that we narrow down what they have to access so that they're not clicking around everywhere trying to figure out where they're supposed to go. Everyone's home page, when you first enter the course, is going to have a place for your course banner. As you scroll down, you can see that there's button links. They look like little Post-it notes to go directly to the orientation before class starts, and then directly to each week's learning module. Scroll down further still, and we can click easily the button to go straight to that virtual museum tour that Araminta was just modeling. And we can also, as we scroll down, visit the student lobby itself. So this gives us easy access every time students on their homepage from any course to be able to either submit or go to any of those pre-college lobby extras. Finally, at the bottom, we have the escape hatch because we know sometimes students are going to need help. They're going to run into, especially online students, potentially some technical difficulties. So we have easy access to a link to help directly on that homepage for every course. Any questions about anything anybody saw on that page?
I would just offer that the home page is all set. So every single course site, when you get it, you don't need to add anything to the home page unless you want to. They're all set up and ready to go.
And if you do want to edit anything, or maybe definitely let me know if you find a typo, as Araminta will let you know. I'm a builder and I need an editor sometimes. So definitely reach out if you do find a typo anywhere. If you do need to edit that home page, the little pencil button that says edit right there, if you click on that, it'll actually allow you to go in and type to add some of your own flavor or messaging to any of these text spaces. And just make sure you click save whenever you're done making any kind of changes. So the next thing the template has is a page that is a syllabus page. And this you're definitely going to want to edit, again with that little pencil edit button. So this has a space to enter your course name and a little description, you know, why your class is so awesome. If you have specific meeting times that you want to display, there's space for that here. If you want to add any of your email information for how to get a hold of you, we have that space here. If you want to let students know how or when you're going to be giving them feedback, there's space for this. If you don't want to use this space, you can always delete it out with that edit button. And then the last thing you'll see on the syllabus page is how to get back to the content modules, especially when students are first learning. That's going to be important. And as you fill your assignments within your course, those will actually fill underneath the course summary. And when we look at the drawing class in a little bit, you'll actually see what I mean by that. Anytime you add a due date, it'll add it in order, so it creates kind of a to-do list for students, which is pretty handy. So now I'm going to move into the modules. This is where the learning action happens. All the templates have 4 modules. One is orientation, and then we have one for each week. The orientation has a page that you can update. That's just kind of a, come on in, this is what you can expect of this course. It also has access to Canvas tutorials for students and a space to update your supplies or what students need to be successful throughout the duration of the course. The orientation is really before the kickoff. So think of this as kind of the preview of, okay, this is what you want to review before we kick off class on Monday. And you can also see that, and we're going to review these in just a couple minutes actually, that a hidden module, I can tell that it's hidden because it has that little circle with a slash instead of the check mark, which means, hey, I'm published and look, people can see me. These are where you can see and access your template pages if you choose to use those. So the formatted pages. And that's the basic tour of your course site and your template. I'm going to stop sharing for just a minute so I can ask if anybody has any questions about that before I kind of kick into additional, here's how we copy and move stuff around phase. You can feel free to ping in at any point. Okay, so I'm going to take the silence for, okay, we're going to move right along.
Sure. So probably at this point, I would jump in with one thing and offer a note of clarification about modules. So because this is a 3-week class, we just assumed that you would want to put your content around the week and have it kind of revolve around when your meeting times are. If you have a different way of organizing, you certainly can, like if it's theme-based or project-based, you certainly can rename them. That's not a problem. But when you think of a module, I want you to think that all the content that the student needs to do, everything that they might need to engage with, should be in that module. So if it's the first week and you have like 6 readings, 1 discussion, a handout, a video that you want them to watch, and your class meeting link, all of those things should be listed in that first week module so that your students can just look at that module and know exactly what to do. So when you think of a module, it's like a folder with all the stuff that the students are doing for that folder in one place. Easy as that. And I think, Heather, did you want to show us some of the content types that you've created, maybe 2 or 3 of the pages that you've designed? And then
I was going to,
awesome.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to kick right into the sandbox and show people how to copy and because I realize that these templates are here, you don't have to use them. They're just there because a lot of times people look at, already created content and say, why can't I do this? How can I do this, more easily, or how can I do this too? And so that's why those are there. But certainly I'm sure that, there's some amazing designers among us. And if you have the skills, definitely 100%. Okay, I'm going to share screen again. All right, so now I am in our pre-college sandbox. I'm not sure, Araminta, did you say that everybody has access to this as well? This space?
No, it's published though. Everybody has the template that we just went through. I have loaded into your course sites, and actually I should just make sure that you're all loaded in as instructors in your course shells. I'll do that now while Heather is walking you through your pages.
Alrighty. So I'm going to go straight to the modules because right now I am instructor and I'm like getting ready to build stuff. And I can see actually I already have a couple of more pieces added to my module. There's a discussion in my orientation. Maybe I do want a discussion that's saying, hey, I want you to introduce yourself to your fellow peers. And I can also see that week 1 right here has a Zoom meeting link that probably will need to be updated with your link. And so what and look, there's even some awesome stuff here for comics and for animation. Not yet for animation, but we will have some stuff in there in just a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just make a copy of this weekly intro. Maybe I just want to let students, give them a heads up on what we're going to be doing this week in class. And so I'm going to use this page template, which looks like this. Again, it's editable. So I'm going to click this little 3 dot. Some people call it a snowman at Canvas. I think that's kind of cute. Have you ever heard that? Has anybody heard that with Canvas? I love it. I'm going to click duplicate on that, and you can see now I have weekly intro, outline of topics, ideas, copy. And I'm going to plop that right in animation. I don't know if the animation instructor is here right now, but there we go. Open up that module. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into that page, and I'm probably going to want to edit it now. I have kind of a placeholder image here, and you can certainly get rid of any of these images and add your own, or add images that are relevant to whatever topic or project that you're going to be uploading. You can just delete. And then you click the little upload image on the little mountain button. And you can choose to upload something from your computer or Unsplash. I'm not sure if anybody's used Unsplash, but it's kind of like a crowdsourcing site for photographers. That was not super exciting, but I'm sure that you'll have great images to add. I can go ahead and put, if I'm not using actual objectives I want students to learn, I can just erase this out if I'm not going to be using it. Maybe I'm going to be using essential themes instead, or questions that I want to ask students, you know, to think about as they're going to apply the stuff in the module. Again, you can just update your own content, and as soon as this looks the way you want it to look for your weekly intro, you can just click either save if it's going to be a draft, or save and publish. Once you click save and publish, then students can see it. So I'm going to go ahead and add another page type. And you can see that there's quite a few page types in here. One that I use a lot in my teaching, because I teach a lot online, is a video content page. So I'm going to go ahead and make a copy out of that one. And I'm going to add this to, maybe I'll just add it to week 2. Oops, dropped it in week 1. Let's move that down. Going to click into it. This one has some actual formatting features. You can see there's this little call out box here, which is editable. I click the little pencil button. I can go ahead and update the title to be whatever I want it to be. I can get the lorem ipsum out of there and add my own content. I'm just adding more lorem ipsum right now. And then what I love to have with my video content is drawing students' attention to something I want them to pay attention to specifically in the video. And that's what this call out box is really for. So as you watch this video, pay special attention to whatever I want to draw their attention to, because usually we're going to be talking about this in class, or I'm going to make them discuss it in a discussion board. You'll see in the template, if you go to use this, there's actually a video there that tells you how to insert a video. And this particular video is a YouTube video, which you can add by clicking the little plug-in button there and choosing YouTube. Or if you're using Canvas Studio, which I think Araminta is going to go over in just a couple minutes, you'd choose the Canvas Studio. And when you're ready, you just click Save and Publish. And then your page is there, ready for students to view. And we'll do just one more to kind of model some different formats that we might want to take advantage of.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to draw attention to what you just said, published. Critical note, do you notice how the ones that Heather is clicking and dragging up have like a little grayed out slash? And then she publishes them and they have a green check mark. You as the faculty can see everything in your course site, but your students can only see the things that have a green check mark. And particularly if you look at animation, that module that's at the top of Heather's screen right now, you'll notice that the module is grayed out, but the page is published. The students will not be able to see that until she publishes the module as well. So if you ever run into a place where your students are saying, I can't see this, I don't know why I can't see it, just double check and make sure that it's published. And it's as easy as clicking it to publish it. On and off.
I feel like I'm kind of white.
Awesome. Thank you.
Another thing that I want to point out too that's kind of helpful modules because sometimes whether we're doing a thematic unit or a week by week, we want to hide the stuff in the future because maybe we're doing some stuff in an iterative way so that week 2 is really going to influence week 3 and we don't want students to necessarily work ahead. What we can do in Canvas is we can edit that module and have a lock until and have the open date be the Saturday before or the Sunday of that week opening up. So that's one tool that we can have just to kind of shape our students' walkway through our content, which I think is super helpful. Another thing that's really helpful too, because a lot of our classes have daily stuff that we're going to be doing, or maybe we'll want them to watch specific videos that are going to influence what we're going to do actually in class that afternoon or evening, is at the module level, the little plus button that's right here, that gives you access to be able to link to an assignment or a file or a quiz, but what I really love to use is the text header. And the text header can be a day, or the day of the week that they're going to be expected to do the stuff, or it can even be before class. So it's signaling in a really action-oriented way what you want students to do and how you want them, again, to walk through that flow so that they're prepared by the time they get to class. Because, again, we only have 3 weeks. And you can see, actually, that whenever you first publish something, it's unpublished to students. So you always want to make sure that you have green check marks all the way down, as Araminta just pointed out. So let's go down and make one more page.
How about the 3-column page? I think that's
okay. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that, and I'm going to drag it up.
And even though we're not going through every one of these page layouts, they're all in your templates. So you are welcome to explore them all and see if there's one that's more appealing than another.
So on this 3-column comparison color block, I know that that's not the most original name. Of course, I want to update it with a name that's relevant to the content that students are going to be doing. And this has an image of clay. So I'm just going to put clay in there. Again, I can update and delete any of this lorem ipsum and add my own content as well as my own header and my own image using the same method that we just used in our first page. The thing that is special about this page, though, is that this page format is really geared towards comparing or contrasting or breaking down steps. So you can see that we have like a step or a choice or a consideration number 1, number 2, and number 3. Each one of these you can also highlight and update any of that text. And what it looks like for students is it gives a side-by-side comparison. When I'm in the edit page, I can also add smaller images as well. So if I want them to compare, if I'm giving steps in a process that I have a photograph, I can just simply add an image to the column as well. That's way too big. I'm going to shrink that up a little bit. There we go. That's more pleasant. Now let's see what that looks like. So you can see here, if I had, photographic steps or things that I want students to actually compare and contrast, I'd be able to have those images at each step of the way. And again, these are yours to update. And that being said, there's some basic pages as well. And you can create your own pages. So these are really just a tool, hopefully to help you save time in your building process, but not necessarily to dictate or homogenize your amazing content.
Thanks, Heather.
Any questions? Comments, concerns?
Okay, so a page is when you would add like reading content or video content or demonstrative content, stuff that you want your students to consume. I would say passively, although learning isn't really passively, right? So it's the content that you want them to do something with themselves, but not necessarily hand something back into you or share with each other. So that's your handouts, that's your syllabus, that's the document you might give them in class that they walk away with. But there are things that you want students to do with Canvas as well. So this time I am going to share my screen before I start talking about what's on my screen. And now we're going to look at that PC Sandbox course again. And this time we're going to look at setting up some graded elements. So I'm going to go back into modules. And actually, one thing I'm going to show you before I have you look at two interactive or active items in Canvas is to show you just one more thing, which is to how to add a file. I don't remember if, Heather, you covered this, but sometimes you might have documents that are already in file format, like a PDF. You can add that the same way you added pages. You just click File, and then Create File, and then you can choose the file from your desktop. So if you do have handouts that are already in PDF format, you can add those to your modules as well. So if they're ready to go, just plug them right in. So I'm going to show you, I think I'm going to go in Module 3. I'm going to show you how to add two different types of interactions. We're going to talk about assignments and discussions. And actually, before I add them, I'm going to use Heather, your mock-up of these. So Heather's actually given you a template for quizzes, discussions, and assignments. I'm going to show you assignments and discussions today. Now, even though Canvas calls it assignment and discussion, I want you to think of it in terms of the feature. So an assignment is when your student needs to give something that really just you or your TA is going to look at or interact with. So that might be a final piece of work or a piece of writing or something that really you're going to be the only one that gives feedback to. A discussion is when you want your students to submit something that will be interacted with throughout the entire course. So that might be a critique or a piece of art that you want everyone in the class to see, or a response to a discussion prompt, something you want them to think about and everybody sees together. So assignments are when your students submit something just to you, and discussions are when your students submit something to everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the assignment template, and I'm going to drag that up. Assignments again, just for you. This would be if I want my student to hand in a final piece where they're only going to get feedback from me and the rest of the class will not see that feedback. And I'm going to change the name of it. To do that, I'm going to click Edit here and give it an actual name. So in week 3, I'm going to say, this is your final life drawing. Let's make it specific. Now that just edits the title of the assignment. I actually want to edit the assignment, and right now you'll notice it's 0 points. I do want to grade in my class, so I am going to add some points to that. I clicked into it, and now I'm going to click Edit, which will allow me to edit the actual assignment. And here I can change the title of the assignment. I can add my assignment prompt, which is the instructions that I want the students to engage with, like submit your paper here or upload an image here. There's additional information that you can add to the instructions. That's just the helper text for the student. Down here, I want to add points to this assignment. I'm going to say the assignment's worth 10 points. You can add any points you want. I'm going to show you in a moment how to grade with this. That's really the fastest and perhaps best feature of Canvas, is how easy it is to interact with your students' work. So I gave it a point value of 10, and I just want to make sure that the submission type is selected as online. And notice these are pre-selected for you. I want to leave them all as they are: text entry, website URL, media recording, and file upload. That means that with text entry, my students can actually enter text into the screen or add images or embed YouTube videos directly into the screen. A website URL means they can link me something. A media recording means just that. They can upload an MP3 or an MP4. That will be useful for animation. And a file upload means that they've got a PDF or maybe a Microsoft Word document that they're going to attach for you to see. Now, it doesn't really matter which one of these the student submits to you as. your view of it is going to be in the Speedgrader view, and it actually is really easy for you to interact with. So you'll want to make sure all of those are selected. You can determine whether or not they have limited attempts. If you make it limited, maybe they can only try this assignment once. Maybe they can try it 6 times. It's up to you. And then I'm going to add a due date because I want it to appear in that syllabus area, which you might remember from Heather's demonstration earlier. She said that anything you add a due date to will populate in the course summary area. Very handy feature for the students because that gives them kind of a working to-do list. So I know this is in week 3, and let's just say that I know it's due on June 30th. Automatically, it'll be 11:59 p.m. I can change that time if I want to. Let's say June 3rd, I want them to submit a work of art before our class meets at 1 p.m. So they have until 12:59 p.m. to submit it. Save and publish makes it visible to the student. And let's go back over to modules so you can see the assignments. I'll put it in week 3. So there's the final life drawing, June 30th, 10 points. And let me just show you how that appears in the syllabus. So remember how the students can only see these top 4 buttons? When they click on syllabus, they'll be able to see they actually have something due on June 30th by 12:59 p.m. And if they click on it, it will take them right into that assignment. So when I added that due date to this, when I edited this and added that due date, it actually added it to a to-do list for the student. So it's extremely helpful to add those items for the student's view. So that's how you add an assignment. Let me show you how to add a discussion. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use Heather's template just because it's already built for me. And I would recommend that those of you who are teaching online or hybrid classes, that you have at least one engaging discussion a week. And that discussion could be anything that's related to your course content, just something that engages the students who are at home in an active, dynamic dialogue about what you're discussing. And you can prompt them with anything you want. You could put a video in there. You could put a picture in there and ask them to critique it. You could ask them a question and have them just think about it. But I recommend that you do that because it'll really engage your online learners if you give them something to think about at least once a week. So we'll call this discussion prompt 1. And I'm going to pop in there and edit it. And notice I can make it graded. I'm going to click edit. I can edit the prompt. Generally with a discussion, you want to have 2 due dates in the prompt. The first due date is for when the students need to post their original response, and the second due date is for when they need to respond to one another. So it might be post your original response by Wednesday, respond to each other by Friday, however you want to do that. But write that in the description. Then I want to make sure that you have selected Allow Threaded Replies. Notice how that's pre-selected for you. And keep it graded. Threaded replies just makes it easier to read if the discussion becomes really popular and gets lots of replies. It threads it so you can see who responded to whom at what point in the dialogue. You can choose to allow liking or podcast feeds if you want. Users must post before seeing replies means that they can't see anything in that discussion board until they post something themselves. So they can't read everybody else's post before they post something themselves. Graded, I'm going to set a point value for this, and in the instructions it gives it a 3-point scale, so I'm going to make this worth 3 points. And if I were to allow liking, that's just like on Facebook or Instagram when you can like something. It just makes this discussion board allow likes. You might want to use that. I can think of some examples where you might want to use that. I recommend against it in general, though, just to avoid the popularity contest that might happen. So I have added 3 points for the grading, and I'm going to make this due. Now remember I recommended 2 due dates. I'm going to actually list it as the first of the 2 due dates. So I'm going to say the first one is Wednesday, the second one is Friday. That's because I want it to show up in their to-do list on that first date. So I'm going to say it's due Wednesday, June 16th at 11:59 p.m. I click Save and Publish. And now that discussion will appear in the syllabus under their to-do list on that due date, and notice how it automatically organizes it in order of when things are due, and I can click on it to jump right into the discussion. So let me show you how grades will work, but before I do that, I'm actually going to stop sharing and ask if you have any questions, and then I'll show you grading. Any questions to this point? Okay, so assignments for when you want to interact with just your student, discussions when you want your students to interact with each other. Now I'm going to jump back into screen share and show you grading.
Araminta, can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
This might be for Nick, but since I'm primarily in person, I was just wanting to make sure that like I'm not giving them grades on Canvas, so that part doesn't apply to me, right? Like I can do that. I don't have to do it through Canvas, the grading.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Since you're fully in person, you can opt to grade them traditionally through the grade sheet, not on Canvas. If you're not tying any assignments to anything through Canvas. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's just, I don't think, I'm just trying to sort of like see how much of this applies to me, because I think like all of the I don't really, I'm not anticipating having any like written assignments or tests or conversations outside of the classroom. So I'm just trying to make sure that like I know which of these things apply.
I would recommend that you just upload a syllabus, and if you can put due dates in, that's helpful. It doesn't matter if it's clickable or not. So in this syllabus section, you could make a page or a handout a to-do item, or you can actually make anything a to-do item. But if you were going to use any aspect of this, even just the to-do list, just to let them know what they're studying, or you don't even necessarily need this, just the syllabus would be sufficient. I think that would be fine. You can use as much of this as you want, because all our students are submitting their art for the final show in digital format anyway. We did consider that if that was a way you wanted to collect final pieces, you certainly could, because they'll be digitized anyway, but you do not have to if you're teaching studio.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, it might be good to have like your handouts, like your vocabulary terms and stuff in Canvas as well as the syllabus, only because they're going to be going and checking things out like that in other classes. So if we have a little consistency, I think it will help the students understand how to navigate best.
Okay, this is really helpful, and anything that I, don't use this summer, I'm sure I'll use at some point. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Great. So next I'm going to show you how to use grades, and then I'm going to show you how to use Canvas Studio, which is an onboard recording media device that you can use to make videos if you need or want to. Your students can also use that tool to make videos if they need to for you. But let's start with grades. So as I noted before, I put a couple of items in here with sample student work so that you could see how grades work. So remember in modules just a moment ago, we added an assignment and a discussion, and we made them graded. By making them graded, it not only added it to the students' to-do list, it added it also to mine as the instructor. So I can now look at the list of all of the items that I have and see which students have submitted and which ones haven't at a glance. So I can tell that there is this assignment that was created that this student has submitted to, but this one has not. And if I had set a due date on it and the due date was passed, it would tell me that it was overdue, that it was late. So that can be handy if you're teaching online and you need your students to be timely with their work. So I'm going to show you how Speedgrader works for grading. So you click on did someone call it a snowman? Is that what you said earlier? Click on the snowman?
Yes, but I didn't make it up. I saw it in a Canvas tutorial video.
I have not heard that yet, so thanks. So I'm going to click on that and click Speedgrader. And what that's going to do is it's going to take every assignment submission that I have for this assignment and put them one on top of the other for me, with the assignment on the left and my grading information on the right. And the students, I can toggle between them by clicking these arrow buttons here. So I only have one student submission here that I can show you as an example, but if I had 20, I could use this arrow to toggle through them. So here is the student, this was the text submission view. So in this case, the student entered text and uploaded an image right to the center. And over here on the right, I can see all of this. I can grade them over here. This particular graded column is set up to be complete or incomplete or excused. So I'm going to say complete. That's going to give them a full 10 out of 10. And I can add the comments here. So here is what I think of your work. And the student is the only one who will be able to see the feedback that I put into this area. So remember, this is an assignment. It's when you want the interaction to be just between you and the student. When I click my interaction here, notice I can also attach a file, add a video, or record audio, like just talk to the student with an audio recording. Once I do that and click submit, the student will receive that feedback and be able to see in their grades what you said or what you shared with them for their work. And I can, as an instructor, easily grade all of my students at once just by using these arrow keys and toggling through all the students to see all the submissions that I got. So that is Speedgrader for assignments. Let me head back to the grading page and show you discussions. So notice that I've graded this assignment. It's a green checkbox now, and I can see who hasn't submitted here. That tells me that I'm done, but this one needs to be graded because it's not a green check mark. So again, Snowman, Speedgrader. And discussions display a little bit differently. It's going to show me everything that the student did in that particular discussion board, somewhat out of sequence. So this is the student's initial post right here at the top, and then this is a reply that the student made to someone else. And the reason why I want to see all of that at once is because I told the student they needed to post a response to my prompt and also reply to 6 other students in the group. And this is how I can quickly tell if they actually did that and replied to all of the people. Then I grade them the same way, add my comments, attach whatever I want to attach, click submit, and they are officially graded. And I can toggle through all the other students who submitted by clicking those arrow keys and grading each of them in turn. When I'm done, I click submit, and it loads it into the grade center for the student to see. So I'll stop sharing again and ask if there are any questions about Speedgrader. Okay, without a doubt, that is the most useful aspect of Canvas because it expedites your interaction with students. You don't have to toggle through like 30 separate emails from all of your students sending you stuff. You don't have to try and organize your own Google Drive folder. It's all right there in one place. You told them, submit it to this assignment link. They submitted it. You go and look there, and you can look at them all at once. Easy peasy. So let me show you one last thing, and then I'm going to have Heather walk you through the drawing site. I am going to show you how to use Studio, which I'm going to do really briefly because my webcam and microphone are currently being used for this interaction. I can't show you everything about Studio right now, but I do want you to be aware of its existence. Let me go. All right, so in any course that you are enabled really at the point of just being logged into the dashboard, so when you first come to canvas.mecca.edu, on the left here is your expert level navigation, right? Your upper navigation. And down here at the bottom, you have Studio. I also want you to be aware of help. We do have 24/7 help desk with Canvas that is available to you and your students. So if you do get stuck with Canvas, you are faculty. So you can chat with Canvas support in real time 24/7 by clicking this one. Your students can click this one. So if they get stuck, they can get help in real time 24/7, and either of you can call this hotline. But Studio is a tool that allows you to record video for your students, and your students can record video for you. So I imagine that'll be really useful for animation. This is also going to be useful for any of you who has a student who is absent. If you are teaching over Zoom or over Google Meet, you can record it using Studio, or you can record it using the Zoom recording feature. and then drop it into the course link so that anyone who missed the class can watch it. And those of you who are teaching a hybrid class, your classes will be recorded by your digital service technician, your DST, will record your entire session and then upload it into your course site for your students to watch anyway. So they'll always have access to your course sessions. So to use Studio, again, I click Studio. Notice I'm not really attached to a course right now. I'm just in a recording area. I can add videos that I have already loaded on my device, or I can record one now, and I can capture the screen or just my webcam. So I'd use my webcam if I just wanted to talk to my students, or I'd tell my students to use that if I just wanted them to talk to me, rather than type something. Sometimes you just want them to communicate directly with you. A screen capture is what we're doing right now. It's me voicing over what you see on the screen. So if I click screen capture, it will prompt me, potentially, bearing in mind that my webcam and microphone are already in use, so it may not load for me. It will prompt me to put, is it going to work? Oh, I have to download it again. It will, once I've got it all set up. Oh, there it goes. Now you can see it. Do you see the record dotted lines around the edge?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was what I'm using to record you right now. So you notice that you can record the screen, the webcam, or both, which gives you like the picture of your head inside the screen. And when I hit the record button, it'll actually start recording with a 3, 2, 1 countdown, whatever I have on my machine. So if I was looking at a piece of student art, I could actually be like using my mouse to point to that art and say, I like how you used blue here, and I like how you used a square here, and actually verbalize all of that. And when I pause, I can then click done, and that recording will load into my studio. I need to give it a title, practice recording, brief description. And when I upload it, when that recording lands in my studio, I can link it to any of my course sites. So it'll automatically appear in my studio like repository from anywhere I am in any course site. So let me just show you what I mean by that. So I've got 4 videos in my personal studio. If I am in my course site in an area that I can edit, we'll say this welcome page. I believe it's the plugin. I haven't added this before. I can now pull from that plugin any of the videos that I have in my studio into this course site. I can also pull that video into my feedback for the student in the grade section. Remember, students can do this too. So if you need your students, if they're at home and you want them to show you themselves flipping through a comic or a close-up of their drawing so that you can see the strokes on the page, you can ask them to record a video using this same feature and upload it to an assignment link, just like you're recording for them. So any questions about studio or grades or anything we've covered? Awesome. All right, so I'm going to have Heather walk you through a fully mocked out course site. This is our online drawing class, which I believe Chris will be teaching. And then if there's anything that you want to practice or you want to do with us while we're here, we can do that. But Heather, do you want to show us drawing?
Yeah, definitely. I have to give a special thanks and shout out to Chris. And you're going to have to keep me honest as I'm going through this. Have you seen this course yet? Have you been added yet?
Yeah, just now. I haven't gone through yet.
Okay, so welcome.
Thanks.
So for those that don't know, because we were going to do online painting and drawing, we actually hired content experts to develop that content out ahead of time because we weren't sure if we'd be able to get instructors and have enough time for them to build this out, because it takes months to develop really pristine content. And the content that you're about to see took 3 months, 2 months. 2 months of a person's time to develop it out. So you'll see what kind of goes into that experience. Thanks, Heather.
No problem. So here's our home page. You can see my banner here. Instead of saying your class, says drawing. If I click into the syllabus page, you can see that's updated with drawing specific information. And I went ahead and plopped a table right in here because I know with those classes that are either hybrid or partially online, they have different meeting times for the different weeks. And pretty soon Chris is going to have his awesome little picture and his information right here in this section right here, as well as the ability to update any of the course format and feedback policy. And we can see that since this class has daily sketchbook prompts, there's the reminder of those sketchbook prompts as well as the weekly due dates on those Fridays. So you can kind of see a pattern of flow here. We have our in-class due dates on Fridays and daily sketchbook prompts every day. So that way students can access those really easily. Now let's head over into some content. So here for the orientation, we have our welcome that we got to preview a little bit. We have our Let's Learn Canvas, which is going to be the same for everybody's class. So students will probably only need to really go through that once. We have supplies specific to this class. We also have a couple of pieces of content specific to this class for the getting started. We have a setting up your drawing studio, which is really helpful for students that are just kind of looking for space, as well as a glossary of terms for drawing.
Now for the hybrid classes, your online students will need to create their own studios at home too. So if you've got any written tips that you can imagine for what it might take to have a space that is suitable for illustrating or for making animation, you could write that up, or you could share it in your first class period while you're being broadcast to just kind of walk them through what kind of space they need. Drawing, we know charcoal is dusty. Painting, we know they need kind of a well-lit area and perhaps a bigger space. Animation, maybe they need, right? Animation, they need access to a computer area. Illustration, maybe they only need pen and ink and a desk. But whatever it is that you think is unique to your studio space, you could give them those tips in that space.
So in this class as well, I know that I just kind of modeled this as we're playing around, but I use that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What I did in this particular class, although they have to be updated, is I went ahead and put in a space to add the Zoom link, and I added the times because, again, even though the students have the schedule and they have access, these are teenage students, and I find the more kind of planned repetition of essential information, like when class actually starts, is actually a good thing. So they know on Tuesday here their drawing class is going to be from 9 to 12 and then 1 to 4. I also have it split up so you can see they have these short little pages of content that are related to the stuff that's going to be happening in class, and a sketchbook prompt. And these sketchbook prompts are meant to be kind of playfully playing with ideas as opposed to being big assignments, because students are going to be working on bigger assignments together in class to submit. And so each week I also replicated this pattern of when they go to week 1, they can see what's going to be due and stuff to access on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday all the way through Friday. And I did use the templates that were created for all the pages in this as well. So here's our introduction to India ink. And as you scroll down, there's just a little paragraph as well as an introduction to what some of the tools of the trade look like. So not so much content that it's overwhelming, because again, we're going to be meeting in class as well, but enough to really prime the pump, because students are also going to be coming in with different levels of previous and prior knowledge as well. The other thing that I wanted to show you is as I scroll down, now I have the orientation, I have week 1. You can close any of these weeks too as well. You can see there's nothing underneath there because after I finished using all the templates, I just deleted that module out because I don't need it anymore. It's all built. All the content is built in there now. And when I go into the student view of what this page looks like, I can see that I can see part of my to-do list. Like the first 7 items will populate right here on the right, which is pretty handy. If I have an announcement because I want to send out a reminder, like don't forget we're doing this in class today, that'll actually populate right at the top here. And students can always view that as well by going to the course stream. And students will be able to really easily access all of their content. As you're building too, I find that using that little student view button is actually really handy if you just want to see how the page layout is looking and get that student perspective. It's really helpful. Any questions about that, or does anybody want to see anything specific?
Could you show us how they would make an announcement, and also if you do you know the inbox feature? I can show that one.
Do I?
Yeah.
I know the inbox feature,
Okay.
yes.
Could you show us
Yes,
that too, to communicate with students?
Yep.
Right now, announcements is grayed out, like we said. If you create an announcement, though, it will automatically be visible to students.
So I have a little placeholder here for announcements, and that's part of the template, so you'll all probably see that. As you can see, you can add images or multimedia content to your announcement. If you're creating a new announcement, you just click that big orange button. Don't worry, Chris, I'll delete it. And here you can choose to delay your posting. So technically, if you want to create an announcement at the beginning of every week to say, hey, this week I'm really looking forward to XYZ. I really enjoyed seeing, ABC last week. You can add that here. You can create that on Saturday or Friday or whenever you have a chance to really do that, and you can delay posting and have that publish at a specific time. You can also allow some of we're talking about liking posts. As far as discussion posts, you can also allow users to comment, which introduces some of that social media threaded action. You can either allow that or you can not check it if you don't want to allow it. And you can also allow liking and enable podcast feed as well. Just like with any other pieces of the content area, you can add images, you can add multimedia, you can add links to external resources or videos. Whenever you're ready, you just click Save. And okay, my awesome announcement's a little bit boring now, but I can always go in and edit it as well.
And one awesome thing about announcements is that students have control over how they receive Canvas announcements. They can choose to get them as text messages, as emails, as push notifications. It's up to them. So if your students are big into texting, they can choose to receive any announcement you make as a text and get that notification very quickly. So
another thing
that's
helpful too. Oh, sorry, did I interrupt?
Go ahead.
Another thing that's helpful too is if you create announcements every week or every couple days or just whenever you have something that you want to kind of ping students and share, they can go and access past announcement in that course stream. So I just deleted that announcement actually, but when they click course stream, it'll list all of their announcements in a row. So they can access old ones, which could be handy.
So that's if you have something to share with everybody. There was one last thing I wanted to show you, which was inbox, and I'll just show you myself right now. So if you want to communicate with a single student, then you do have an inbox. Notice it's in your upper navigation. This is the easiest way to communicate with individuals because it's every person in your course. So all courses here, I just click the little pen icon and it will auto-populate with any students that I have enrolled in my classes if I select the class from dropdown. Or I can just start typing a name. And look, there's Heather right there. Give it a subject, your work in class, and drop a little note in the middle here. Here's my email. When I click send, I'm going to really send this to you, Heather. Then that automatically goes into my outbox, my sent email, and then she'll receive it in her inbox. So because everybody in Canvas, in our pre-college classes, is loaded into Canvas, that's like an automatic way for you to email everybody very quickly in your class. I didn't show you, but you can also select the whole class and email everybody at once through that inbox feature. So it's the easiest way to just quickly communicate with your students is through that. So we have plenty of time left. Is there anything anyone wants to go over? Do you want to try anything? Everybody is added to their course sites right now, so you do have access. Is there anything you want to try while we're together?
And luckily this is, oh, sorry.
No,
I was just going to say, I had a lot of questions, Araminta, like after, we met way back when, and I played with the sandbox a little bit, but I think this meeting, your additional information and Heather's information is like, oh, I was just doing it in the wrong section, because I had a hard time. I was like trying to upload my Google Slides as PDFs, and I'm like, I was just doing it in the wrong place. So I think it's going to be a breeze.
Oh, I'm so glad this was helpful. Thank you. If you have questions later, because what's going to happen is you're going to go into your course sites and start messing around, and you're going to have this recording you can reference. You can reach out to me, and I will gladly pop into a meeting with you or go over this again, or we can connect by email, and I'm happy to support you this way. Heather, thank you for making our templates, and I know you're still going to lay out the painting class, so if Marla is watching at home, you will see your course soon. And I think, unless there are any other questions, that's it for today. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will
Thank you,
share the
Araminta.
recording once it's edited. If Nick, you want to share the recording back with me, and I'll pick whichever one came out the best. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Heather, for being here today.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you. Nice seeing everybody.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye, all.